Hello, Kafir, Goy, Lawai, Gaijin, human beings, earthlings these days, what have you. Well, this is a live stream that I've been wanting to do for a while. Really, it's two live streams that I promised you, all compacted into one. So we're looking at a good 3-hour live stream. I'm going to start with a presentation. I'm trying not to take too long on that. And then we'll review a live stream that I did with Lloyd de Jongh about a year or so ago. Someone had, let's say, convinced me to do that with him. And it turned out much better than I expected, given his behavior. So we'll be reviewing that. But first, I want to, premise it and get into a couple of topics. One, the whole, are you with Palestine or are you with Israel dichotomy, binary? And then Greeks, why are they so bad according to mass media? It's really one and all the same conversation, and you'll see what I mean as soon as we get into it. Without further ado, let's do that. I've been playing with the controls. I'm a little, as you can see, a little off kilter here because I'm trying to do something different here. Let's try it like this. Give me 1 minute for 1,000 clicks so I could, there we go. Share my screen here and start this presentation. Again, my apologies. Give me a second. I want to make sure. Okay. This should get it. Right. Yeah. Who saved the Jews? I mean, you may have heard, that the Europeans did nothing to save the Jews. Alrighty then. What's the reality? The reality is quite the opposite. I understand some Europeans were Nazis, obviously. That doesn't need to be said. That should go without saying, as they say. But yeah, just like the whole thing, the again other mass media rhetoric, how it's the whites that are only slavery, it's the whites that are only colonial, it's the whites only that are this, that, and the other. They're all evil. They need to be exterminated, and so on. Um, we find it like when it comes to slavery that it's actually the whites, the white Christian men, that were the ones that ended slavery, and to this day, it's the non-whites that continue it. Not only the Arab Muslims, but the African blacks, and then the Orientals. China is communist. I mean, right now, as we speak, there's Chinese citizens that are working for months and not getting paid, and if they say anything, well, they get tortured, if not worse. Um, that's slavery, folks. Nobody's saying anything about that, though. Interesting, but they are trying to say that all the evil of the world is a proliferation of the Europeans. Wait, there's a reason why we're doing that. But yeah, obviously, who saved the Jews? This rhetoric that the Europeans did nothing to save the Jews. Well, where would the Jews be right now if it wasn't for these people, these nations that the Jews are slandering? All right, let me see if I can. This is going to be difficult because I won't be able to see the chat while I'm doing this, but that's kind of normal. All right, the Europeans did nothing. This is interesting because this is actually a Mel Gibson movie. Let's change this color to the red. Yeah. So, how do I erase this? Nope. Again, forgive me for goofing around with the controls here, but I guess we'll have to leave it for now. Anyway, okay, so yeah, Hacksaw Ridge, Mel Gibson movie. If I'm not mistaken, this is yet another movie that he funded after he did The Passion of the Christ, probably the best movie ever. But none, and I mean none of the major Jewish production studios wanted to do it, refused to do it, and so he had to put out his own money to produce The Passion of the Christ, and it was criticized the entire time before, to poison the well so people won't go. Made tons, buku bucks. The Jews had ikra on that, and afterwards, of course, they destroyed the man, set him up with this Jezebel, and the rest is history. He's supposed to be this horrible man. He went through his jumping through the loops to rectify that, as they do these days, apologies and this and that and the other. Yeah, they still to this day slander the man. But anyways, because of that, he put up his own money for Hacksaw Ridge. I'm a big fan of this movie, even though it's controversial and obviously it's anti-war. You got to appreciate how it wasn't well explicitly portrayed, but obviously this man was a man of faith who went through flying bullets to save so many people. You gotta appreciate that, regardless how you feel about not participating in war. Yeah. What's the next one? Yeah, I mean the rhetoric, the mass media rhetoric. It's just we're talking about and just focusing on Hollywood alone. That is my specialty. Um, over a century of nothing but the same stuff: pro drugs, pro abortion, pro murder, pro. I mean, it's pro everything evil, everything anti-Christian. They're on board with, and anything Christian, they mock, they slander. Where is the ADL on that one? All the slander Hollywood is guilty of, evidently so. The proof is all over the place. It's on stop. But where is the Anti-Defamation League on that one? Obviously, it's not an Anti-Defamation League. Obviously, it's a Jew Supremacy League. Just like the Jewish what is it? The Jewish governance. What do they call that? The Jewish. I forget. The International Jewish. It escapes me. But yeah, they've got their own political entity as well, explicitly political. That will destroy you if you speak any facts. Bank accounts closed, and then you've got these Christian apologists that want to claim that they have no power of this sort. What are they? What are they even talking about? Can these Christian apologists, by the way, be honest about anything? I mean, I'm sorry, but let's get real. Can they be honest about anything? For the love of God. Now let's not get sidetracked. Those people are really killing me. Killing all of us spiritually. Beware of the wolves you sheep's clothing, people. Judge them by their fruits. For the love of God. Get fun. Yeah, it's going to be difficult for me to not get off on all these tangents today. Right. So all Christians are Nazis. Especially the Greeks, right? Nah, Malakis. Right. All Europeans are hypocritically. All Europeans are bad, which is obviously prejudiced. Again, where's the ADL on that one? Or this label Europeans? I mean, talk about prejudice is ignorance. What is European supposed to mean? I mean, are they saying that a Spaniard is the same thing as an Albanian? Is the same thing as a German? Is the same thing as a Brit? What the hell are they even saying? Do you even know anymore? Is anyone going to hold anybody accountable for anything anymore these days? By the way, what's this European crap? And everyone uses it, including, if not especially, the Christian apologists. By the way, God have mercy on their souls. All Europe is evil. Okay? The Europeans, all Europe. We're not talking about the European Union. Once in a blue moon, I'll catch one of them actually say what they mean and say the European Union. Thank you for that, by the way. And the European Union, again, is German run. Yeah, it's interesting. The Germans lost the World War, both of them, really. Yet, right after the war, they somehow become even more powerful. What's going on here, man? Yeah. Again, like we said, all the Europeans are the colonizing ones, yet Islam, the 21st century Hijra, well, that's a good thing. What? What are they even talking about anymore? What are they even talking about anymore, man? All Europeans are genocide. Yeah, Europeans did nothing to help the Jews. We already addressed that. Diary of Anne Frank. Anne Frank, where were the little where would she be right now? Well, she's dead right now, actually. She just recently passed away. But where she spent all her life where? She didn't spend it in the state of Israel. I mean, isn't that why we established state of Israel, so they could have a place to go? Why didn't she go to Israel? No, she ends up in Juland instead. And I'm sorry, in the United States. Died there. Making all kinds of buku bucks based on her victimhood. And saying that the Europeans did nothing. The book is about how the Europeans did nothing to help the Jews. You shite me. Yeah, I spit on Satan. Yeah. Wow. These people, I mean, it's beyond, to say ingrate says nothing. To say ingrate says nothing about these Jews. To say ingrate doesn't even begin to cover it. This is again saying that libtards are liars. No, they're not liars. They spew toxically the opposite of reality, which is satanic. The same thing with these Jews, the opposite of reality, and thereby satanic. But don't take my word for it. We'll get into that, what Jesus Christ himself says about the Jews. Yeah, Mel Brooks, that piece of work. I've got it's a short on Mel Brooks. You should really check it out. I'll make sure to include the link in the chat afterwards, or in the description, I should say. Yeah, it's quite funny, but quite revealing all in one shot. again, this portrayal of the Spanish Inquisition, somehow, according to Hollywood and mass media, Jewish mass media, somehow it's only about the Jews. Well, let me ask you these obvious questions here. Is it only about the Jews? No. Those that are following Christian apologists, Webnet self-labeled, will tell you that the Spanish Inquisition is about ejecting the Muslims. But according to mass media, it's about the Jews and only about the Jews. That played out too. Just like World War II was only about the Jews. I'm Greek. I'm extremely offended by that. They need to be held accountable, these Jews. Their mouths need to be shut. Titus 1. Yeah. So this Mel Brooks has a good laugh about it. There's his literally queer portrayal of the Spanish Inquisition, with jazz hands, no less. I'm being literal here. Lord have mercy, these people. And then, the Christian apologists sit there and cover for them. They idolize them. To call them, to call the Jews saints to the Protestant, to these Christian apologists, says nothing. They all but worship these unfallible Jews. And we'll get into that too. I mean, look at this crap. Woman King, we're talking about destroying homes with this insane, disgusting feminism. This disgusting portrayal of the founding of America by the Europeans. A couple of centuries later, and you Americans are going around about, the Europeans this, Europeans that. Oh, look how bad the Europeans are. Thankfully, we're so thankful we're not the European. Nah, Malakas. You're insulting your own great-granddaddy. Malaka. Malaka. Jerk off. Wanker. Get a grip on reality, yo. Get off your damn phones. Malakas. And then you wonder why there's so much self-loathing, so many libtards and Karens in America, and a global epidemic through Western Hebrew mass media, no less. That's the great contribution of America. It's media and its destruction of civilization worldwide. We'll get into that too. I've got plenty of studies on that. But you don't need my help. All you need to do is be honest with yourself. Is it really that much to ask? Just be honest with yourselves. Jew media promotes World War. There's actually, in the description, a video that jokes about that. I don't think it's too much. There's not much to laugh about. World War. What we're being put through right now, World War III. Why is that going on? Why is that going on again? It wasn't October 7th. It actually started before that. But let's pretend it's about Palestine versus the state of Israel. Their own Israeli military leader is demanding, as of last year, an investigation as to why October 7th was allowed. This is Israeli military leader demanding that Netanyahu be investigated for that. What would that be? Those of us who saw it transpiring, so to speak, firsthand, they had a brain. I already knew what the hell was going on. This is yet another 9/11, yet another Pearl Harbor, yet another Alamo, yet another Bay of Pigs. Collateral damage, some would say. Heckle and Jekyll, AP and D Wood, laughing, literally cackling on and on and on and on for hours about how the Jews bombed a Christian Orthodox church. Well, collateral damage, they said even. Thought that was funny. These are Christians? No, actually, no. AP is not a Christian. He says he's Orthodox Christian. I was running around slandering his bishop. The other one's a psychopath. I'm glad, they're finding orthodoxy, but, well, you need to listen to your bishop, boy. If he's telling you that it's toxic for you to be online, well, the evidence, do you need a mirror? You got all this video footage of your behavior, including slandering him for pointing out the obvious to you, or what should have been the obvious. I mean, this is the problem with the webnet. Any dickwad who's either pro bricks or Zionist gets empowered. All you need is a little cash to promote and be spewing the right message. Either you're pro Trump or anti Trump. I'm neither. You can't be. I misspoke there. But I'm not anti-Trump in the sense that what's going on today with this psychosis, even though I don't really sound very with it right now. But yeah, I mean, again, this is the effect of the internet doing this. This is why I held off on doing this crap, especially during the Great Fast, because I mean, this stuff destroys us, and it's not by accident. It's not by accident. How many people are losing? Look at Thaddeus. Thaddeus has gone off the fucking reservation, man. Any of you who consider yourselves his friend, you better get him to snap out of it. That guy has fucking lost it. I don't know. He's going through a lot of personal problems. He's very public about that this past year. I can only imagine. I haven't had to suffer that. No doubt that's taken its toll. But there's obviously something else too going on. And I'm not talking about the what looks like a oinker. She's probably Jewish too. The whole news hit piece that they did on him through by the prompting of CARE and the Karen that he worked with and all this other stuff, losing his job and all that. That's stressful, no doubt. But he's doing what he loves right now, isn't he? I mean, he wanted to be propelled into being a influencer. And that's what he's doing. He's doing it with D. Wood, his buddy. So good times. But the guy has fucking lost it. He went from being role model right up there with Avery when it came to loving people and therefore patience to cackling all the fucking time. Who is this guy? He turned into fucking Mr. Hyde, like what I'm sounding right now. He's supposed to be setting a standard for us. It really is. I mean, he's taking that role. Those for you that are Bible only, is he not taking that role? Does he not to be perfect in the Lord as a spiritual leader? Oh, Lord have mercy. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's going to be difficult for me to not get off on tangents, but the media is freaking insane. It starts wars. Anyone who denies that, the Boston Massacre, the shot heard around the world, the list goes on and on. Why are people still denying facts? World War II, same shenanigans across the board, grassroots movement even. We're talking about Captain America books. This is the original. This is not the Marvel version. The original. They go on and on and on about the Kaisers. It's the year 2026, and we're still going on and on about Nazis as if there's nothing else to talk about. Why do you think that is? Because the Jews have no control over media? Nah, Malakas. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, they want your ass, and they're showing that in World War III right now. The Kafir Brigade, bringing in foreigners and putting them in front lines as cannon fodder, and calling them Kafir Brigade, they're laughing at your asses. They're chewing you up and spitting you out and laughing at you. I mean, at this point, I have more respect for Jews. I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, Jews, listen to me. Muslims, it's confusing because in essence, they're both the same. Do you choose the Muslims or do you choose the Jews? I choose Christ, man. They're both the same, essentially the same, and I'm going to show you that too. I mean, I got receipts today. Apodixis. That's where you get receipts from. FY. Did I skip anything? Yeah. I mean, look at this. Movies galore, serials. I mean, it went on and on and on, and even decades after, still going on and on and on. So the Europeans did nothing to help the Jews. Okay, as a Greek American, I'm here to set the record straight. Educated one that's experienced, one that's somewhat somewhat world traveled. One that's lived all over America. During World War II, the Greeks not only fought the war, helped the Jews, but hid the Jews. Oh, well, you didn't read that in the Diary of Anne Frank? They're not the only ones, obviously. But for some reason, we only hear about the Anne Frank shenanigans. Ohi Day. Recently celebrated it. When the Greeks said no to the fascists, Nazi Germans, and Mussolini, they said, no, you're not coming through here. We're protecting the Jews. We're putting our lives on the line. No, you're not going to pass through here. And they went to war with a war machine, a fascist war machine that was leveling everyone. Leveling everyone. The Greeks said, fuck you. Take a hike. And so they sent the Italians, the cannon fodder, their Kafir brigade. And the Greeks made easier work of them. The odds were staggering. It's unbelievable. And so the Germans came. It took them about a month. Let's rephrase that. They rolled over other people. Look at what happened. How long did it take them to defeat all of Poland? Which one's bigger, Greece or Poland? It took them a month. First, they defeated the Italians, sent them packing, and then it took them a month to, win, take over Greece, the Germans did, and slowed them down. Germans went through Russian winter. I know the Russians hate that. Well, why do you always say the Russian winter had played a role? It's the Russian army that, okay, whatever, Ruskies, with your ego. All right, so not a small contribution to the war effort. It gets even better. Greeks that were in Egypt turn around and join the military campaign to, once Italy's defeated, taken over by the Germans, to get rid of the Germans from Italy. Did the Greeks wage war on Italy? The very people that invaded them? No. They put their lives on the line to save them. Who says putting your life on the line for the other is the ultimate form of love? Could that be the Christian thing to do? Yet, Western Jew media says nothing but how the Greeks are pagan. Even when talking about orthodoxy, the faith, they'll call it pagan, just like, by the way, the pagan Romans did. And were crucifying Christians while calling them pagan. Talk about backwards. Sound like libtards, right? I mean, I'm sorry. It's just so much to cover. I don't even know where to begin, where to end. Can't even keep track. It's freaking insane. Look at this. Kamara. It still stands, by the way. This is the second biggest city in Greece. Look at the suffering. Oh, by the way. Oh, what kind of soldier is this, by the way? Hope it's not a Greek one. Well, actually, if it's not a Greek one, that's probably even worse. The things that they had to endure. And I'm not talking about 5 centuries of Ottoman oppression and going when you talk about the Fonara, when you talk about the Patriarchate of Constantinople, of Istanbul. I mean, look at this. We've got farmers with guns kicking butt and taking names. But they did nothing, right? They did nothing. The Europeans did nothing to help the Jews. Post-World War, and during the war already, the Ruski influenced communists, Adartis, were starting to massacring Greeks during the war and after the war. I've got one I'm not going to say where he's at. Douchebag, another Christian. Half Greek, from America, got involved with the Russian church and is now running around, well, I'm going to say, in the Holy Mountain, playing the typical mountains politics of the Holy Mountain. The Ruskies taking over. Let me not get off on track, but it's insane. It's bad enough. I mean, the Greeks get it from every freaking direction. Every freaking direction, including slander. 2,000 years of being Christian. Through their DNA. You get to know one, you'll know it. But nothing but slander. That's the plight of the Christian. If they did what they did to Jesus, he says, what else are you going to expect? This is just, I did this about 5 years ago, a little quick chart. It took me maybe an hour or two to put it together. It's all but off the top of my head. It's not very scientific, but it's at least some food for thought. Some movies that are pro-war and movies that are anti-war. And this is not even half of the movies that were made, by the way. But it's definitely some food for thought. Look at all these movies. I mean, just if you look at the number alone, again, this is maybe half of them, give or take. Probably not even half. The sheer number of movies made by Hollywood sensationalizing war, their bloodthirst. Why do you think they picked King David, as their mascot with two entwined triangles, one upside down? Where do they get that logo from, by the way? What is that? We'll get into that just a bit too. But look into this, at least be honest with yourselves about what you're seeing. At least be honest with yourselves. You gotta get rid of that schema we've all been conditioned with, including yours truly, to be honest with yourselves. And yeah, I mean, when it comes to certain things, they're all pro. When it comes to the American military, regardless, they're always undermining it. They're making it look stupid. Most of the war movies make the U.S. military look dumb. Why do you think that is? Assassinated JFK. Still no accountability. And the things that they promote, there's some different themes here. I mean, the obvious. This is cannibalism. Look at this. Look at all the cannibal movies. The top actually is horror. But about down here, these are cannibal movies. Again, this is only a fraction of them. This is not all of them. Look at all these movies about cannibalism. Who are these people? Who are these Jews? I mean, it's not only Jews, by the way. There is a Masonic influence, factually speaking, in Hollywood. But it was founded, micromanaged by Jews. Only till recently have they been losing their control to the BRICS entities. I mean, completely, literally getting bought out. Literally getting bought out. All that's left is Disney, and they've got BRICS entities all throughout Disney, so what's the difference? Look, grooming, pedophilia. I've got a couple of movies here. I mean, I'm sorry, a couple of movies, a couple of songs, like 4 songs, just to demonstrate just the pedophilia and sexual deviancy. But the rest, this is all grooming movies, pedophile movies. And again, this is only a fraction. This is stuff that's really off the top of my head. Abortion, drugs. I mean, making insanity look cool. The psychedelic, the murder, infidelity. What good comes from these people? Can anyone tell me what good comes from these people? I did a live stream. The last live stream was for Thaddeus' birthday. I did with him. Near the end, some Muslim comes up, and Thaddeus asks, well, why were the Jews here, or something like that question. The Muslim asked that. And he turns around and asks me that question. Next thing I know, I get booted from his platform. I had to log in. It was kind of crazy. And that kind of thing never happened to me before, and it hasn't happened since. It was really suspect. But I didn't say anything. I got back in, and he went on and changed the subject and didn't let me speak. Let me answer that question here. What good did the Jews do? The Jews went to the middle of civilization, the middle of all the trade routes, where a universal language was established, thanks to Alexander. and showed us what not to do. Well, if you include the commandments and some exceptions to the rule, what to do, but mostly what not to do, including the commandments. And did they pick King David because of his repentance, something that the faith orthodoxy they read during the services all the time, the Psalms, the canons? No, I mean, evidently not. Well, they do go on and on about David versus Goliath, the Philistine, right? They do love them Greeks. Why do you think they love them Greeks so much, by the way? Could it be of Alexander 2.5 millennia ago, and now they're still bloodthirsty for revenge? Nonstop slander. Yet the Greeks continue to help them just like they did with the Italians. Why? Because they're stupid? Well, the Muslims might say so. No, because they're Christian. Judge them by their fruits. All right. So, Hebrews are infallibly superior according to the Zionists. And I'm talking about the Christian apologists, the Protestants, and the like, including the Jews themselves. No matter what they do, it doesn't matter. Even David Wood explicitly says, well, they do this. I know they do that. I know they're evil. But that's beside the point. That doesn't matter. He literally says that publicly. That's worse than the thing that they like to slander, the veneration of the saints, which they envy, apparently. Let's look at this these two. Now this is Mach 2. You know, the glamorized garb. The one on the left, he's the appointed, but non-canonically appointed. He was just appointed by. Well, let me talk about the one on the right first. I actually met him a few times. Even challenged him when I first met him. Didn't even know what a bishop was at the time. I was raised in America. Of course, I didn't know what a bishop was. You know, we're kept in the dark there, and completely ignorant. How else can we be prejudiced if we're made dumb? And so, I mean, okay, well, bishop. Let me go on Google and find out what I can find out. And I saw that the Fanar was bombed. The hand grenade was thrown in by a Muslim Turk, into the yard. And so he's coming to the United States. This was around the turn of the century. And he's having an audience with me. I was in the seminary at the time. With our group, I should say, not with me, with our group. And well, I'm on Google. I got my question. I got my research now. I have some idea what a bishop is. Not really. I have some idea what this guy is. No friggin' idea who he is. And I got my question ready. I got my Bible quotes, like a good Protestant, like a good Westerner. I'm gonna, ego driven. And so, and I've got video of this actually. I'll include that video of that instead. It's about how Hollywood. I think the video is it's a documentary they made years ago. Why Hollywood promotes Islam. I think it was the title, something along those lines. And near the end of the video, you actually see me challenging this patriarch, and I'm reading all kinds of scripture to this guy. Wow. And even saying, even getting obnoxious to them, belligerent, telling them, hey, you know what? The Bible says you should give your coat to your enemy. Well, why don't you just take off your underwear and give it to the Turk enemies? I mean, I'm surprised that he kicked the crap out of me and dragged me out. But no. Instead, he laughs and he says, "You should be a professor of New Testament." He says to me. And then he explains why he's still in Turkey. That was my challenge. Well, why are you still at the Fanar? Why are you still in Constantinople? Why don't you just leave if they're trying to threaten you? And he explained why. Well, because he's the stopgap. Well, we see, unfortunately, in the 21st century how true that remains. But in general, the sentiment, the one that he shared with me, sticks. It holds true, regardless of what has happened to that office since. So this guy, Bartholomew, before he was made patriarch, his nickname was the Green Bishop. And then later, his moniker was the Green Patriarch. What else need to be said? So you can imagine when 2020 rolls around what his response was. Not only that, like I said, the Archbishop now of the GOA, the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America, was not chosen by a synod, but just appointed by this guy. And Elpidiaforos happens to be a Turk. The next patriarch, the next patriarch in Constantinople, in Istanbul, has to be Turkish. Says who? Not the Christians, not the Orthodox Greeks, that's for sure. Not the Fanar, but the Turks themselves. They are dictating who is going to be the next patriarch. And then you call it the Greek patriarch. The Greeks have disassociated themselves with this guy because the patriarchate, the Fanar, is still under a Turkish yoke, even after World War II. You establish the state of Israel, but refuse to give Constantinople back to the Greeks. Why do you think that is? You refuse to give the streets back to the Greeks, give those to the Turks, your business partners, opium pushing business partners of centuries old. But you refuse to give the Fanar to the Greeks. What do you think that is? Not to mention that the Jews, when it comes to the Holy Sepulchre, down here, Malakia. I did this make it easier, but these controls are Malakia. Yeah, that what you see down there is the Holy Sepulchre. That's for Pascha every year. The faithful gather and they get the holy light and they spread it around. I've talked about this before. Look into it if you're not aware of it. If you get the opportunity to visit and actually attend, it's transforming, undoubtedly. This is in Jerusalem, of course. This is where Christ was buried, the Holy Tomb. The Jews give the Turks the keys to this place. The Jews give control over what transpires during this holiday, the Christian holiday. I mean, really, what else needs to be said here? All right, let's get into, well, here's the Fanar, by the way, what I mentioned earlier, just so you'll know, under Turkish yoke for 5 centuries and counting. But you'll establish the state of Israel and going on about how infallible they are and how they're victims. Here, you can't see it well, but the Theotokos, the Mother of God, she's got her eyes gouged. This is what the Turks, the Muslims, do. They destroy the icons, they behead them. If they can't destroy them, they'll gouge, at least bash out the eyes or poke out the eyes or try to, like I said, to behead them. This is a chapel on top of the hill in Thessaloniki where Paul preached. This is a internationally recognized, some kind of vetted org. This view down here is from that hill. This is Thessaloniki. This is the view that you would see from here. Okay? This is called Anopoli, the top of one of the 2 big hills in Thessaloniki. This is where Paul preached. I'm pointing that out because when the Turks took over this second biggest city in Greece, Thessaloniki, as you see down here, the top part, the best part of the city, well, the Muslims took, the Turks took. And the bottom part, guess who lived there? Let's give it a moment. Can you guess? If the Turks took the top part, who lived in the bottom part, where all the ports and all the merchants and all that are? That's your clue. All the merchants. Who lived in the bottom part? Who did the Muslims put in the bottom part to be controlling all the commerce? The Greeks. I mean, who else would be left, right? The Greeks. I mean, this is a Greek city, is it not? No, no, no. The Jews. So this became the Turkish part, the top part. The bottom part became the Jewish part. Where are the Greeks? Well, the Greeks are in prison being killed, or in this prison called the White Tower. Come on, Putana. The White Tower over here on the right. Here, let me put it again. Here. The White Tower, the Tower of Blood. So near the water in the bay, or on top of the hill, you're hearing Greeks scream on a daily basis as they're being murdered. Well, the Jews are living it up. The rest of the Greeks, what's left, are expelled outside the city walls. In a rough part, a little peninsula area that was very rugged, very difficult to farm, piece of crap. So what do the Greeks do? They turn it into a paradise, and now, as we speak, it's the best part of that city. Because that's what the Europeans do, by the way. The Greeks, in this case. But you don't hear about that, do you? No. What you hear is, well, the Europeans did nothing to help the Jews. And so World War II comes around. And did the Greeks take revenge on the Jews? No. Instead, they hide them. And they go to war for them. Just to be slandered again. And then they wonder about the Spanish Inquisition. I wonder what that was like. What prompted the Spanish Inquisition? What could it be? Okay, let's talk about these malacas. This is only a short list of crimes against humanity by the infallible, superior ADL Jewish Congress, International Jewish Congress. That's what they're called. Jews. They have no power. They have no power according to the Zionists. The Zionists that worship them. And the other Zionists, God, Daddy, Emperor Trump, the Donald. CEO of Burla. Look at this guy. Just one look. Doesn't he make you want to vomit? Jewish. I got kicked off of Fascist Book for exposing pedophilia and Islam destroying everything in Greece. First-hand accounts. Not disagreeing with anyone, not going to war with anyone, agreeing with people on Facebook. So here's my proof. Facebook kicked me off twice for those two things. Ultimately, with extreme prejudice and not following their own regulations, it just so happens when I sent a message out on Messenger about, and this was in October of 2020, to my family group messenger, hey, invest in Pfizer, and when you realize there's blood money, dump it. That was months before. The lethal serums were unleashed. And so after being kicked off the Fascist Book, I went on Gab. I heard about Gab somewhere. It's being advertised, so I went on Gab. And there is where I heard about this creep. And that there was a weekend, I can't remember which weekend it was. There was a weekend when someone posted how this creep went to the European Union and started making this list of demands. They listed it. They're talking about how they'll be able, the European Union has to purchase a certain amount of, this was in early 2021 actually, purchase a certain amount of their lethal serums, of their vaxes, without accountability and this and that and the other. I saw it in a Gab that weekend. I think it was a Friday or Saturday. That Sunday, I remember it was a Sunday. It was already on television in Greece that this will now be mandatory for the elderly that are getting government assistance or they're getting their pension or their Social Security. If you want your money, you got to get the vax. That was the thing. The next day. And now here we are 5 years later. And how many of these vermin, these genociders, these destroyers of humanity for filthy lucre's sake, again, Titus 1, look it up. Those of you, especially for those of you Bible only. Either way, look it up. How many of them are being held accountable? Any of them? To date? Especially not God Daddy Emperor Trump, Mr. Project Warp Speed himself, or Biden, Mr. I'll nuke you if you don't give up your weapons. Talking to his own citizens. Does it get more fascist than that? Where's the accountability? I mean, again, I showed you just a very small, very, very, very small sampling of the kind of corruption, the spiritual, physical, mental destruction of humanity worldwide, not only culture, any trace of civility worldwide by their mass media. And we're just talking about Hollywood alone. We're not talking about radio. We're not talking about print, video games, internet, TV, none of that. Just Hollywood alone. Throw that all in. It's immeasurable. Where is the accountability? Well, economics. Without getting into the Federal Reserve and who established that and how much power that had, Alan Greenspan. Remember him? The U.S. bailouts. You all wanted to talk, well, look at the Europeans. A decade before, the U.S. bailouts destroyed the world economically. Why? Because we're all on the Federal Reserve gold standard. Well, at that point, it was a gross national product. Now they're talking about the petrodollar. How convenient. They suddenly changed it to the petrodollar. Fuck off. Soros and the Rothschild banking. It's just a conspiracy theory. Nah, Malakis. Oh, another conspiracy theory. The Holodomor. Aren't we all going through the Holodomor right now in 2020 lockdown? What the fuck is a social distancing? Put a muzzle on yourself? Close down your shop, but keep open the Walmart? The Walmart? The Jewmart, you mean? You know do you realize a Walmart is a Jewish entity? What about the Starbucks? Close down your mom and pop coffee shop, but Starbucks, all of a sudden, hey, the virus doesn't go to the Starbucks? Is that it? Who established Starbucks? The Jews. This is all a coincidence. No, just close your eyes, lie to yourself and everyone else, or the ADL will come for you. Again, World War III, we're in the midst of it. Why? Again, their own Israeli military leader wants Netanyahu investigated for why October 7th was allowed. Henry Kissinger, I've talked about this before. In the late 1970s, when the business partner of the UK, US for opium, especially the US for opium, invaded the Greek island, still occupied, of Cyprus, while the US and UK exploit its resources, by the way, and fill it up with casinos. Lord have mercy. Fucking people, man. He gets on public television, this Jew American leader, Henry Kissinger, and he says, the Greeks are stubborn. We need to undermine their culture, their religion. Oh, yeah, communism. Let's not overlook Karl Marx and the ongoing immeasurable damage that's doing, not excluding BRICS. Oh, by the way, here's their flag. This was their flag way back in the day. This is the original Jewish flag here. Kingdom of Judah. A couple of centuries before Alexander attacks. And the original Greek flag, if I can only freaking draw something here, this is actually just only that part is the original Greek flag, just the cross. The stripes were added later. Who else has stripes, by the way? Can you explain what those stripes are supposed to mean? And there's no cross on that flag, just stars, pentagrams. I've talked about that before. Their symbolism will be their downfall, but will it be their downfall? I mean, they're rubbing our noses in it, but yet here we are, continuing down the same path. Oh, man. So, yeah, media. We're now in the 21st century, yet people are still denying the conditioning, the messaging of mass media. There are people still denying it. How thick do you have to be or evil? There's some that are just evil. They're just, either full of it or willfully trying to be ignorant, just denying because they just love evil that much. But the rest, especially those that are calling themselves Christian, that are going to churches and are denying the destruction of the soul mass media is guilty of. What good are you? What good are you? So now these wolves in sheep's clothing, these webnet cult leaders, the Christian apologists, self-appointed, no ego there. They're going on and they're, as I suspected, they're attacking orthodoxy. Why? Well, once you don't have orthodoxy, and by the way, once you don't have the Greeks, the vanguards of the language of the Septuagint, the Bible, we'll get into that in a second. Once you don't have that, then what are you left with? Just go by your feelings. Well, I feel like I'm not hurting anyone, so this is okay. Oh, grace alone. I said the words. Once saved I can do whatever I want now. Wow. And then, speaking of lack of integrity, then they wonder where these cults come from. These nihilistic, modernistic abominations. So what we have here in the top left corner, see if I can circle that. Look at that. The tabernacle, angels, or ornamentations all around it, by the way. It's not just the angels. Look what we have here. Arton. Daily bread. What is daily bread, by the way? Can anyone, speaking of mistranslations in King James, we'll get into that in a second here. What is that? Oh, look. They're burning candles. They must be pagan. Oh, no. It's only when the Christians do it. It's only when the Christians do it, they're pagan. Where'd you get that idea? It couldn't be the evil Jews, the anti-Christian Jews, could it? The ones that murdered their Messiah. Not only killed them, but massacred their Messiah. Katie Layson. For the love of money, Judas much? Anyone? Sanhedrin much? Anyone? Katie Layson. And these are the people that you idolize? Fuck is wrong with you? Oh, you love money. You love counting the shekels. That's what it is. Yeah. Incense was burned on the altar located at the holy place of the tabernacle as described in Exodus 30, and not only there, also in Revelations and other places as well. The high priest, this dude over here, was instructed to burn incense every morning and evening, symbolizing the continual prayers of the people. Where else does it say that? It says rising up as prayers. But the Greeks are pagans. Did you know the Greeks are pagans? Oh, you got Zeus. Malakis. Where'd you get that idea from? Couldn't be the Jews. Couldn't be the Jews. No. Couldn't be mass media. No, no, no. It must be from your superior intelligence that's open minded. Look at this. Look at what he's wearing, this high priest. Does that look familiar? Let me refresh your memory. Wow, look at that. He's even wearing a belt. He's even wearing a belt. You can't really see it that well, but it's there. Trust me. I studied this stuff. I was in training on how to put these garments and vestments on and what they mean. Did you know? People are quick to say that Jesus was Jewish. No, Jesus. Okay, let me emphasize. As a Greek American, let me teach you something about culture. Can anyone tell me what tense this is? Here, let me give you some time. Do 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 do. Jesus was Jewish. Tense? Anyone? Maybe, let me give you a hint. You might get stuck here. This might be throwing you off because I know this is going against everything that you've been conditioned to believe. Does anyone know what the old covenant means? Or how about the new covenant? What are these things signifying? Anyone? Anyone? Give you some more time. Do 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 do. Oh, hey, look at this stuff. Is this pagan? Is this pagan or is it Jewish? Hebrew. Let's say Hebrew, actually, in this case. Because there's a difference between the Hebrews of the Old Testament, the Old Covenant specifically, and evidently the abomination that you call Jews today. So, yeah, when you see these things also in the faith, what you now call Orthodoxy, that was protected by the empire, what was later called Byzantium. Well, it's a continuation of the faith. You ever heard something about grafting and all that? Remember that? For those of the Bible only, remember that? So the old covenant, the Jews are good, but the new covenant, for some reason, always portrayed bad. How about that? Where does that come from? Where does that come from? Where does that idea come from? How is it spawned? Why is it being sustained? Why is it being sustained with such insane prejudice, extreme prejudice? DEI, CRT, critical race theory. Where do these comes from? The Great Replacement? Maybe it's bricks. Maybe it's been going on for quite a while. Squaw Man from 1914, which YouTube just recently took down, even though it was approved before. Suddenly they take it down. I mean, we're talking about the very beginning of Hollywood, its roots. Squaw Man came from before Paramount was even Paramount, with Lasky as the producer and CCB DeMille, Mr. Christian, as the director. We reviewed it. You know what? I'll try to make it a point to put that on what's that other site? On the green one, whatever the hell it's called, on Brave or some stupid thing like that. Rumble, on Rumble. I'm gonna try to make it a point to put it on Rumble, so you guys can watch it. You can at least access it. Screw YouTube. Who's holding YouTube accountable? By the way, who's holding YouTube accountable? And by the way, this she covers this. You know what? We'll take a glimpse at it after I'm done. I'm almost done here. I've got one more slide left. But she covers this during the 90s, this major shift. She called it the Great Purge, or not she, but it was called the Great Purge, where dialectics was officially demanded, and including, this political correctness about Islam. Hmm. This is very Jewy behavior, ironically. So here we go. The Frisco Kid, Gene Wilder, the not so funny man. We'll say there was one scene that I still remember to this day. I was a kid when I watched it, but I still get a kick out of thinking about it. When he was running around in the Wild West, coming from Jew land because he wants to be married to a Jewish chick in the New World. And so he's chasing a chicken around. He's going, "Come here, chicken, come here. I don't want to hurt you. I just want to eat you. Come here, chicken. I thought it was kid funny. Anyway, whatever. Yeah. And without their laugh track, by the way, they're not so funny. They're a little black box. Jack Benny show. The King James. Lo and behold, your Bible that has a bunch of books removed, mistranslated, things written in very questionable ways, including the war against principalities in the Lord's Prayer. Deliver me from evil, a concept, an idea, or the evil one from demonic principalities. Night-day difference. A night and day difference. These days, evil means being a white Christian man. Where's that coming from? Demonic principalities. Spawned, sustained, empowered by the Jews and bricks these days. The Masoretic text. What is that? Well, I said 5th century. It's just that 1st century keeps throwing me off. But yeah, 500s, 6th century. A bunch of Jews get together, rebelling against Christianity. Or we've already had the establishment of the faith official as part of governance by Theodosius at that point. And so what do? They completely deviate from the Septuagint in rebellion. Again, let me restate this. The Septuagint, yes, it is written in Greek. Who wrote it in Greek, though? The Jews themselves. They are so in love with evil, so in love with their love of money and the hatred for the Christian, what is good, what is right, that they deviate from their own scriptures. They deviate from their own Septuagint. And they spawn this Masoretic text. These rabbinic Jews, later Hasidic Jews, who, ironically, not so Zionist, not all of them. The Orthodox Jews, excuse me, let me not get those too confused. The irony, they're called Orthodox Jews, and they're not Zionists. Maybe that should tell you something. I don't know, or maybe that's a coincidence. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So the King James was created from that abomination. The abomination that tells his rabbis they should clip the little babies, and as the baby is bleeding, suck it off. What the fuck? That's where your King James comes from. Any wonder why it's missing even more books than the Catholic version, which also is missing books from the original? Any wonder? Never mind all the mistranslations. You can say some is accidental, hey, bad work, or some suspect stuff going on. Obviously and evidently the latter. So when the Muslims come around And bingo, they have a point about your corrupt texts. Well, what do? Well, you behave like Muslims. You start insulting them. You silence them. You double down on your bullshit. Christian apologists, my ass. Wolves in sheep's clothing. Web net cults. Shame on you. God have mercy on your souls. At least some of you, and I mean some, have some integrity. Some. I pray you keep it. And, Septuagint, what about the Dead Sea Scrolls? Just so happens that reinforces the Septuagint. The Old Testament Septuagint, Isaiah. So on. I mean, they're finding more and more. They're finding more and more. So this is who they worship. I'm sorry, they idolize. The rabbinic Jews. The rebellious money lovers. Whatever happened to repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand? Matthew 3, verse 1. In those days came John the Baptist. This is King James Version, so you can relax. Again, King James Version. In those days came John the Baptist preaching in the wilderness of Judea, verse 2, and saying, Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Verse 3, for this is he that was spoken of by the prophet Isaiah, saying, The voice of one crying in the wilderness, Prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his paths straight. No pun intended. No pun intended. Isn't it interesting that these Hebrews are just full of sodomy, promoting it, normalizing it? I mean, isn't that what they did back in the day too? Isn't that what the Jews did? The Jews were pagan. They were sodomites. They were the billboard, the epitome of what not to do. But don't take my word for it. What did Jesus say? Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers, how can ye escape the damnation of hell? Matthew 23, verse 33. Well, there it is. But, the Christian apologists know better than Jesus Christ. They'll tell you that it doesn't matter what the Jews do, as long as these Christian apologists continue to get their shekels. And they laugh about getting their shekels. That's their big joke, their big shtick. Lord have mercy. Disgusting. One of them, the atheist, the apostate prophet, slanders his own bishop, again, for pointing out the obvious to him. Has he yet to repent? Has he yet to repent about cackling for hours about Christians getting bombed by Jews? Has he repented about anything? Where's the integrity? Oh, I do love that guy, but I've had enough. And I do pray. I want you people to push these people, set them straight. For the love of God, if not anybody else, at least for the love of God, set them straight. Oh, apocalypse, what the West calls revelation, another retarded thing. Again, this is not mistranslation. How do you mistranslate apocalypse to revelations? Fucking everything in the scriptures, revelation. Malakis, it's the apocalypse anyway. According to the apocalypse, Revelation 7, verse 4. 144,000 Jews will be saved. 12,000 Jews from the 12 tribes, equaling 144,000. And the list goes on. You read the rest of it, it lists them. Verse after verse. So there's no mistaking it. Well, argument's sake, let's say the end of the world will be 2030. right? The whole 2030 discussion. For argument's sake, let's grant me that. Humor me here. If that were the case, well, the 144,000 is only 1% of the Jewish population. Only 1%. 1% equals 144,000 of the Jewish population as we speak. Meaning that God will wipe away 99% of the Jews. God will do that. The God that called them serpents, that called them a generation of vipers, that said, how can you escape the damnation of hell, you money lovers? Titus 1. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. If you're not embodying that, don't call yourself Christian. I'm sorry. If you're not embodying repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand, first the Jews, 2,000 years later, still waiting, don't call yourself Christian. In fact, you should repent. If you're not embodying it, you should repent. Don't wait. Time's a wasting. All right, let me share some stuff here. How long have I gone? An hour and 15 minutes? Not too bad. I was hoping for half an hour. That's about what I usually do, twice as long. Okay, let me share this thing here instead. Oh, this is what I mentioned earlier. Clear. I'll put this. This is already in the description. How can I think I need. Okay, hold on. Give me 1,000 more clicks. 1 second. I guess I have to stop it. Okay. 1 second. Again, I had to do that because I wanted to be able to mark some things while I was speaking. All right. Humor me here. Give me a second. Coming up on stage. Now. I don't like this look. Let's do it this way. That's better. Okay. I still don't like that. Why is it looking? That's all right. Bump it. Okay. And by the way, that's the Tower of Blood in the background, the wallpaper, so to speak. All right. So this is Paul, the Salifian report. Paul Salif. He's done some really good work on going through line by line, so to speak, through Sharia law. I encourage you folks to check out his work. It's an eye opener. There was one part I'll never forget. I should have clipped it. I'm having a hard time finding it now. Hope he didn't delete it because it brought it to his attention. He's a bit of a feminist, amongst other things. God bless his soul. God have mercy on him. God have mercy on all of us. Anyway, but yeah, it was a really powerful moment where we're reading through it, and it basically Sharia law was saying that it's halal. That means it's acceptable. It's good for mothers to sex up their retarded children. This is Sharia law. Why isn't that all over the internet with these Christian apologists, by the way? Are they too busy being feminists, all of them? Lord have mercy. Anyway, yeah, let's listen to what this government agent has to say.
Yeah, again, this is the all right, Nicholas, if you have okay, here's the question. This is a question for you, Claire, before we go on too far. Why has the U.S. government empowered people like Jack Shaheen, something real bad, Arabs, to set the tone for how U.S. leaders interact with Muslims within U.S. borders? I'm not familiar with this.
Well,
just so to clarify, because she doesn't really expand too much about Jack Shaheen himself. But, and this is the last thing that we'll close with, is a review of the live stream that I was encouraged to do with Dr. Lloyd de Jongh there. And I'm glad I did it. Actually, I'm glad I listened and did it, because it was fruitful. But yeah, basically, he brought this guy to my attention. He is a Lebanese. I'm starting to feel differently about the Lebanese. Some of my best friends, my dear best friend, was Lebanese. To this day, I don't know what happened to him. Another one I met, others were saying he had questionable behavior. I knew he had questionable behavior. I was making excuses for it. But then the rest of the Lebanese I've gotten to know, not so great. And this Jack Shaheen, to call him a piece of shit doesn't cover it. But so this Lebanese Christian, I'm not going to say what part of the parish he's from. He's dead now. God have mercy on his soul. Um, but around the turn of the century, he went on this campaign that, well, well, it comes off like he's trying to say that Muslim and Arab is conflated, which actually that in itself was a bullshit argument, because Arab, as we know it, is Muslim. In other words, it is Islam that created the Arab culture as we know it. So that's an oxymoron. You can't really argue that Arab and Islam is separate, even though that is actually a Christian land. And I know the rest of you the Zionists want to argue it's a Jewish land, but whatever. Really should be one and the same. But you Zionists are talking about the anti-Christian abominations, and they're not Hebrew. So you need to cut that bullshit out, as I've already demonstrated with receipts. Um, but yeah, so this stack of shit, Jack Shaheen, he's the one that they put as the poster boy for this dialectics, this PC, political correctness when it comes to Muslims and Islam. And he was saying that it was a bunch of movies that portray Islam as evil. He said over 1,000. I'm sure he found over 1,000 productions by Jews on Islam. Now, he was complaining about, again, Arab culture being portrayed as Arab culture, very much sounding like Muslims who complain about these Christian apologists talking about the Quran or talking about their Hadith or talking about tafsir, going, oh, why are you insulting? Just by citing the crap. This is what this douchebag did before he died, before he croaked. God have mercy on his soul. Oh, you're showing Arab culture and therefore you're prejudiced. No, motherfucker. You hypocrite. You're prejudiced. You lying, two-faced snake, heel. God, it's a shame he died. I can't lie. I'd like to have a piece of him. I can't lie. I'd like to have a piece of him. So he's complaining about Arab culture being shown by Jews. That's his complaint, saying that's prejudiced. Okay. What is he also complaining about? The portrayal of terrorism. So he's an apologist for terrorism. Let me at this mother. Let me at him. He is the problem, but not the problem doesn't come from him. He was just a token boy, a poster child, a useful idiot. In addition to being the obvious scumbag, douchebag, servant of Satan that he was. In addition to that, he was an absolute schmuck. So that was my question. And then this is her response, which is relevant to media and governance and how it's interrelated in all these dialectics that we're suffering from in the 21st century. But she's talking about the 90s. You'll see.
We might recall that as far back as the G.W. Bush administration here in the United States, meaning the early 2000s, the
Obviously, she's not a conservative, or maybe she is, and she's on their channel. She might be conservative, but I can almost hear their buttholes scrunching up when she called out George W. Bush. Can you listen?
right after the aftermath of 9/11 and on into the early 2000s.
Patriot Act. I need to stop interjecting here.
there was something we all called the Great Purge. And even as American troops were going into Afghanistan and then a little bit later on into Iraq, within the federal government and throughout all of the agencies and organizations of the federal government, all lexicon, all vocabulary, all references to words that actually were accurate in description of Islamic doctrine, law, and scripture were purged from that lexicon of the federal government, and also those who previously had been teaching within those agencies and organizations. And there I would mention Robert Spencer, Bill Gothrop, John Guandolo, Andy Boston, and there are others, all purged. We called it the Great Purge. So this.
Ouch. Did you say Robert Spencer? Another one that I'm a fan of, the Euro basher that goes on and on and on about the pathetic Europeans. Where's he from again? Another stack of shit, just like Jack Shaheen. And look at the guys on the right, one of them being a history teacher, a military guy. I love the guy, but he's not having a good moment right now. And this is not why I asked the question. Honestly, this is the first time I heard of the Great Purge. I knew an essence of it because I had spoken as an educator, looking at the textbooks now that changed post turn of the century. I was like, whoa, 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 this crap ain't what I was raised with, even though the crap I was raised with wasn't that far off from that. And so when I was in a Civil War reenactment, there happened to be another government official, local government official, who was also an educator. And I went over and asked him about my suspicion, my quote unquote conspiracy theory. I was like, hey, yo, is it just me? Or did these textbooks really politically get fucked up and off the reservation? Completely politically correct. He's like, no, it's not in your head. In fact, he goes, I've been fighting that very thing for years now as a politician. And now we have Clare here reiterating that quite effectively. This is quite significant. Again, there's so much talk about all these different things. Oh, the CIA is behind everything. Well, who's behind the CIA? There's a good question. Anyone want to talk about that? Quickly moving on. Again, let me go ahead and put this link in the chat box for you. Oh, my one attendee took off. I guess he couldn't take the anti-Semitism. God have mercy. All right, this is pretty good actually. Okay, let me show you who this is from. The gay scandal that caused World War I. Of course, this is this is meant to be humorous, facetious, but anyways, I'm going to include the link to this too. It's already in the description, but hear what he has to say at this point.
Holstein then sat down at his desk, picked up a pen, and wrote a longer letter to a man he had never previously corresponded with. That man was a journalist. His name was Maximilian Harden.
Did you say Holstein wrote this letter? Anyway, let's keep going.
Maximilian Harden was the original investigative hit job artist. Maximilian Harden was a Jewish journalist from Berlin who had reinvented himself as the most feared editorial voice in Wilhelmine, Germany. He had founded a weekly political magazine called Die Zukunft, which translates as The Future, in 1892. By the mid-1900s, Die Zukunft was where ambitious politicians went to be praised and where their enemies went to bury them. Harden was personally cunning, ideologically slippery, and had a writing style that combined classical illusion with surgical character assassination. Bismarck.
So basically, in a nutshell, he was Jewish. Yep. Moving on. Putting that in a checkbox. On to the next thing. Oh, this is significant. Make sure I've still got, yeah, this is still on stage. Here we go. Mel Gibson tried to warn you. You may have at least seen clips from this video. Good work. Let's watch a moment of this.
You are going to be affected by this play, and you'll resent it for a little while, and you have to let it go.
Never fails. Yeah, that was just included in the chat box. I'll also include it in the description.
Eat yourself alive here. And I think it takes that kind of cockroach resilience to survive in this town.
Yet, nobody listened. He was just made out to be a crazy man. But today, people are finally waking up to what he saw 20 years ago. And the message he gave us would eventually cost him his life.
You need a bat in the side of the head. If you get by a packet, it'll be your fault.
Yet, back in the 1980s, Gibson was so successful, he was operating at a level where studios would greenlight whatever he wanted. In 1996, Braveheart swept the Oscars, 5 wins, including Best Picture and Best...
Right, and again, it's worth noting that what you just heard, we're talking about the Passion of the Christ here, and that was a turning point. Suddenly, he's a public enemy #1 for portraying history accurately. Why? Because it exposes the Jews, the infallible Jews, the one that the Zionists worship, idolize. What do they do? You know, get their money. These whores of Babylon.
Best Director. Gibson stood on that stage and called himself a fiscal imbecile.
And they had no problem with giving the reins to a fiscal imbecile. You know, this takes real courage.
And everyone laughed because he made them all very rich. But if you were paying attention around then, there were signs he saw Hollywood very differently than most people who'd made it to his level. In 1998, Playboy did an interview, and buried in all the usual promotional stuff about whatever film he was selling, he said something that did raise some eyebrows. He talked about a producer, but he wouldn't name him, whose entire philosophy about women on film was this.
He says, women on film, either naked or dead. Both is better.
Then he...
That's very Jewish, isn't it? I mean, again, the proof's in the pudding, and we're still denying this stuff. Shame on you. Speaking of which, I mean, why not yet again, hear it from their mouths. Here's a sad story. Can you guess which one is Brooke Shields? Doesn't she look like a normal kid here? It's fucking heartbreaking, man. I'll include this again in the description in the chat. Let's take a moment here.
To kids, with 15 seconds of fame being almost a perfect formula for a lifetime of consequences. But of every story out there, that of Brooke Shields is the most disturbing. She started modeling before...
Oh, that wasn't Brooke Shields, actually. Or was it? I don't know. Anyway.
Or she was 1. Was signed to Playboy.
Hold on. She started modeling at the age of 1. Listen to this. She was assigned to Playboy at
10. Portrayed Woody Allen's crush at 11.
She portrayed Woody Allen's crush on 11. Footage that ended up on the cutting room floor. Makes me even more anxious. I mean, frankly, that's all I could take of this. I really can't stomach this. Let's go on to the next thing. And again, where's accountability? Well, when you try to hold someone accountable, you got vermin like, well, no wonder they gave this Italian, well, he's probably part Jewish. I don't know. I should look into his background. But Tarantino, in his passionate defense of Roman Polanski.
In China
with a 13-year-old girl, and you're a grown man. You know that that's wrong because she
you're giving her booze and pills. I'm not. Look, she was down with it. Oh, you're crazy. And she's talked about it. She's talked about it.
You're a director. He's a director. Is that what's going on here?
I have a little bit of information on this, all right, as opposed to just popping off on this and that and the other.
Anytime a person's 13 and an adult has with them, I believe that's right.
Look, okay, I don't believe that's right. I believe it's against the law.
Right.
All right?
I believe it's right.
I don't believe it's right. I mean, not at 13.
Yeah, I mean, we watched that before. Okay. This one quickly is a movie done by Showtime, I think it was. I can't remember. I believe it was Showtime. Maybe HBO, but I think this is a Showtime special. It's again the West and its backward, diabolical, anti-Christian agenda and behavior, supporting the Muslims of Yugoslavia, destroying, tearing apart Yugoslavia. By the way, one, if you look at the thumbnail, one of the Allied powers during World War II, attacking the Christians, the Serbs. Yet again, isn't that what kicked off World War One? Ferdinand assassination in Serbia. Yeah, and so they were killing Christians, the Serbians, but said nothing about the Muslims killing the Serbians all the time before or after, which, should surprise you at this point, given the 21st century Hijra of 2015 and after, or really before that, but especially 2015 by dictate, United Nations, European Union, and the rest of the leadership of the West. This movie, unfortunately, is the most accurate portrayal of what transpired because at least it shows some of the evil the Muslims were doing. The rest is crap. Absolute fucking crap propaganda. Standard Hollywood. Because after all, the Muslims are the sweepers of the Jews, according to some. Evidently so. Okay, what do we got here? Oh boy. Okay. So fruits of the Hijra. I mean, this, whatever.
Under the water.
He like pulled her pants he grabbed like the side of my pants and he pulled them down. And then I was like, what the hell? And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then he he's touched my bum and I was like, what?
The young women describe a man around 20 wearing long black shorts with a white band.
I'm instantly on the binoculars trying to find him. Scouring, bang, there he is. And
oh, what do you know? My only question is, does he float? Next. Oh, look at this. This is the one I think I mentioned before, actually, just to make sure. Let me refresh it again in case you missed it. Oh, the Barbie Pirates. Oh, unavailable by YouTube. YouTube's own channel. YouTube Movies. Okay. Well, let's, cover up the Barbie Pirates, I guess. Oh, this guy I'm not the biggest fan of. I'll go ahead and share this link in here. But this is a Walmart, Jewland, remember? The one that were kept open and supported during the 2020 backward lockdown that destroyed so many lives economically alone.
So what? Go back to where you came from.
Oof.
We're in America. Here, I'll get a close up.
If you post this video,
I'm posting. I'm live right
Oh, did you see that? If you post this video, you are done.
to where you came from. We're in America. Here, I'll get a close up.
If you post this video,
I'm posting. I'm live right now. I'm live right.
Now, some people are saying that.
Okay, yeah, that's a bit cherry picking or nitpicking there, but and it looks to me like she's provoking her. There's some provocation on the recorder's part, but yeah, we all know that they don't like being recorded and they will attack you if you record them. So if you go by common sense logic and facts that we know, then you got to say there's some suspect behavior on the Muslims' part and of course Walmart's part. What is this? Oh, the Bosnian War.
Struggles for identity and freedoms leading to mistrust and even hatred being bred into each generation, just waiting to be unbottled. During the 1990s, as one nation began to fracture into 7, those old grievances began to resurface in spectacular and horrific fashion, leading into a war that would see atrocities not witnessed in Europe since the days of the Third Reich, and would not only drag in the world's greatest powers, but would also highlight their weaknesses in a battle that few outside of the region truly understood. In this episode, we're going to examine the history leading up to the Bosnian War of the 1990s, exploring the role which the international community played in the shaping of events, and ask the question, could more have been done to prevent this tragedy? Welcome.
How about not bombing the Christians? That would be nice. Let's talk the prevention there. That's in the chat as well as in the description as well. Yep, let's move on to the next thing. This thing is Zorba the Greek. Let's talk about some Hollywood classics. Oh, look, this was put in the 60s. Nothing unusual and bad and horrible, culturally speaking, in the 60s in America. That's for sure, right? Yeah, talk about a horrendous portrayal. In this movie, I mean, to this day, you'll hear the theme song written for this movie by a Greek. In Greece, playing, particularly during the summertime, it's played for the tourists. Talk about selling out. For those of you that haven't watched this movie, don't. And Anthony Quinn, he's not Greek. Talk about, can't you at least hire a Greek? That would have been nice. Okay, how about this one? Oh, maybe a little more recent for you. My big fat Greek wedding. Talk about insulting Greeks. And I'm sorry, but okay, they hired Greeks for this one. But could you have found an uglier bitch to be your star? I know she's nice. She's cute. But cute as a nice cute. I mean, come on, man. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Have you been to Greece? Have you been to Greece? The portrayals in this movie are horrendous. Oh, where's the ADL on that? As one person put it, the American Defamation League. That's kind of accurate, actually. Anti-Defamation League or Jewish supremacy. Why don't I can't take it. How about this one? Oh, now we have streaming. We've got the internet taking over. Crapopolis. Grassroots movement here. With all the fixings, the feminism, the sodomy, the paganism, and of course, the undermining, the slandering, attacking the Greeks. Oh, this is one on the flag that I mentioned earlier. Meh. Okay, here we go. What do we have here? Oh, look how they portray Hercules. Does it get more queer than this? Here, hold on. This is Marvel. This guy, by the way, just so you'll know, he's the one that appeared in the last Thor movie. The Jews are always pitting Europeans against Europeans. This is the closing scene. This guy he's half Hebrew, I believe. His dad is a strip joint owner. He's a feminist, right? He did some British superhero movie, kind of like a knockoff from, I don't know, just like some B-rated parody of a superhero movie, I guess you can call it. And then from there, they gave him this role with a promise that he'll come back and Hercules and Thor will fight each other, which they did often in the comic series themselves. Actually created a board game back in the day called Ragnarok, with Hercules and Thor actually befriending each other and joining forces. But the Jews would rather pit us against each other because that's what they do. Yeah, so they got this guy as Hercules. And why do they always have to be queer? I mean, look at this outfits that the Marvel gave them. Hold on, do we have Hercules? Hold on. Let me get rid of this 1 second. Let me give you a Hercules Marvel so you can see how bad the Jews, I mean, they go out of their way to emasculate and mock Greeks. What is this queer stuff? What is that? Are you kidding me? At best, they portray him as a womanizer. Orange and green, it doesn't get more gay than this. It doesn't get more queer, more faggot than this. Okay? And of course, that's the Jew portrayal. Greeks queer, Greeks queer, Greeks queer. Meanwhile, the Rainbow Coalition, the queerdom, the faggotry of Hollywood, not only in their productions, by their promotion of it, but their very own behavior. Project much? Never mind slander. Project much? Where's the ADL on this? Or a HEPA for that matter. Speaking of which. So, 60-minute segment on Orthodox Christianity, ecumenical patriarch. This was done in 2000, what was it, 8? I can't freaking remember now. 2009. This is a Bartholomew. He comes on 60 Minutes and starts talking about orthodoxy. This is post Big Fat Greek Wedding. This is post onslaught by Western Jew media on the Greeks in the preparation of the Olympics. What destroyed them. It was after, actually, by the way, after Henry Kissinger made his public declaration about how the Greeks are stubborn, their culture, their religion needs to be undermined, addressing how the Turkish invasion of the Greek island of Cyprus, and well, we need to side with the Turks and destroy the Greeks. The 80s, suddenly the 80s started, the Greeks started getting flooded with debt. Sound familiar, Americans? This is how the Jews do it. Holodomor style. They started flooding the Greeks with debt. Late 80s. And going into the 90s now, well, they're having economic problems. And lo and behold, it's a hostile takeover. The European Union steps in and they annex Greece around the turn of the century. They annex Greece. And as soon as they do that, well, Greece is finally allowed, not in 2000 like it should have been. 2004, they're allowed to host the Olympics, which they founded and created. And it's nothing but years of visceral slander, relentless, every channel, all the time for years and years, every medium, slandering the Greeks and how horrible they are, how dangerous it is post 9/11. Discouraging everyone from participating in those Olympics. The pathetic Greeks, they can't get anything right. They can't do anything right. Look at this, look at that, look at that. Meanwhile, the Greeks, in a matter of years, built these beautiful places. People who visit places, they're in awe. The subway in Athens built for this. The delays were because, well, it's Greece. You dig a little bit and boom, you find an artifact. So the Preservation Society steps in. Hence delays. But no, they're pathetic. They can't do anything. Fuck you. And so now the now indebted Greece, thanks to the Jews, late 80s on the 90s, annexed by the European Union, run by the Germans, have now been slandered And now they're officially in the red after those Olympics because nobody showed up. To date, the best performance of an Olympics you've seen. And then the Chinese had to one-up us. But the following Olympics, or the subsequent, anyways, whatever, either way. And the rest, I mean, then there was the 2008 bailouts, as we talked about. And that was devastating for everyone. And then the 2015 Hijra, as they watched their entire country get flooded by Muslims, whether they like it or not, or the European Union austerity package. You do this or else. Barack Hussein Obama, you frack for shale in your nation, destroy your environment, or else. Same time. And then the 2020 lockdown. Because of a gain of function stuff spawned by the United States in collaboration with the Communist Chinese. And Burla and so on, as that followed, as we discussed. So, Ecumenical Patriarch puts orthodoxy on the map, makes it public. So much for the doors. And so what does he follow it up with? Well, he forces the Athonite monks to do the 60 minutes as well. And they're public about it. They're quite public, the Athonites, that is. How they don't like this, but they're doing because the patriarchate is demanding it. They said they did one in the 70s, and they promised that was the last time they would do it because they were slandered back then, because the Jews hate the Christians, the Greeks. Well, they did their pakoi, and 60 Minutes portrayed them as, well, pagans, and craftily so. And slowly but surely, the European Union is turning now Mount Athos, the Holy Mountain, into a Disneyland, slowly but surely. Flooding them with debt as well, by the way. Grants. They're calling it grants, but the degree of the level of evil is beyond description, beyond words. Oh, you might have heard about this one. Can you get any more gay? Enough of the bullshit already. You ever heard of the expression Greek Adonis? It has nothing to do with being queer, like your fag Rainbow Coalition of America. It has nothing to do with that. Okay? So get your shit together and quit slandering us, you two-faced, demonic cocksuckers. You hypocritical flagella. What is that? This is an American gay's wet dream. That's what that is. Nolan, Christopher Nolan, a Jew. Of course. Well, if he's a Jew, then he must be doing this, right? Okay. This is neurotic on. Oh, okay. This is on the virtual ethnic cleansing, which I've been complaining about for, well, about 2 decades now, amongst other things. Hollywood's been doing all the Christian bashing. Okay. He just mentioned Black Snape of the Harry Potter. Who cares? But anyway. Wakanda forever. Okay, so everyone's talking about this. They're actually more worked up over this than I am. At this point, it's like, well, what else? I mean, of course, it's like watching a Christian movie these days. You expect you come to expect, Christian bashing or Greek bashing, whatever the case may be. Okay, let's hear what this. I think it's Jew. He looks Israeli. I don't know what he is. All right, let's hear what he has to say. Yeah, and again, the timing of this, I'm just not buying into it. I think it's just more theater, to be frank. I mean, a decade later, and now you're going to speak up. Before that, you're putting a crescent moon in the Bay of Thessaloniki and funding a 4 minaret mosque in Athens, your capital, amongst all these other things. And I'm supposed to be impressed because some chick says something a decade later. Oh, actually, okay, this is a different one. I thought I was at a different video. My bad. Oh no, it was later. All right, this part I like. This is your standard Greek reaction, by the way. This is why you didn't have too much. I mean, not saying you don't, you do, but you don't have as much shenanigans in Greece as you do as some of these other countries like France and the Netherlands and those dumb fucks. Okay, let's see that in the proper speed, shall we? So make sure that you don't miss it here. Playback. Where's the playback speed? Okay, here we go. All right. Okay. So the chick I'm talking about is here. She's addressing the European Union. Oh, by the way, does she look like anything that you would see on my big fat Greek wedding? Tom Hanks. Let me add that faggot. That pedophile, by the way. Let me add him. Mr. I'm Greek now. Let me add him. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Do I have anything worth? So okay, no. Okay, so let's show this next one. Last one is going to be the review of. Wait, where is it? Are you serious? Oh God! Don't tell me I don't have it. Yeah, naturally. All these friggin' tabs, and I don't have this one. Okay, let me find it real quick, guys. I'm sorry. I think it's just retarded YouTube that kicked me out. The reason I don't have it up. Nope. Okay, it's gonna take me a minute. Let me find it again. My apologies. Un momento, por favor. Oh, I think actually I got the link for it in the description conveniently. Came somewhat prepared this time. Okay, good. Okay, so again, this is my appearance on Lloyd, encouraged by someone else. I'm thankful for it. We're going to watch this. I had this on a different speed. Hold on, let me adjust the speed here because we don't want to watch this at regular speed. Do we? So let me premise what's up. I came across Lloyd de Jongh on Thaddeus's channel, like I met all the other jokesters, the Christian apologists, the webnet cult leaders, wolves in sheep's clothing. This guy, he's an extreme. Quick recap. All the rhetoric, all the slander. Can't even say anything as this guy's demonstrating. Facts. These are pure facts. All of a sudden, Beastie Boys, by the way, are Jews. Starts freaking out. Can't even say a fact. Again, who acts like that? Muslims, libtards, atheists, Satanists, Chinese. I'm learning. I'm discovering. All these pagans and anti-Christians, Ruskies, God, the Roker clan. I thought the OCA was bad. Roker, I'm discovering is, and again, that's my experience of the Roker. Off on the tangent here. Maybe I don't know, but maybe somewhere later, maybe not. My experience, personal, both times, I was like, "Yeah, man, you gotta." People were not inviting me, coercing me, all but forcing me. But you got to go to Roker, man. They're the best. Roker, you're gonna love it. So twice, two different places, two different states, two different sets of friends. I went to the Roker parish every single time. I mean, talk about ethnocentric. Oh, look, pierogies. Oh, this is great. Oh, no, this is shit. To be frank, yeah, this is great. Anyway, I got it. Vodka and pierogies. Congratulations. But talk about ethnocentric, and they're going to come into the Greek parishes and tell them, "Oh, you can't be Greek. You can't be Greek. Stop being Greek." They're the most ethnocentric pricks of these Roker folks. But they're the most condescending. I mean, talk about feeling like a second-class citizen, like an outsider. Come on, man. Hypocrites. Doesn't cover it, actually. Same thing with the other experience. Go in the middle of the liturgy. What's this ding, by the way? The middle of the liturgy. Ding! Like this Pavlovian thing. Ding! What is that? And talk about cold shoulder. That was my other experience. I don't know which one I prefer. Neither. But those are my only two Roker experiences. But couple that with all the Roker folk online. And y'all seem to be Roker folk online. I can't. I'm starting to suspect that's not a coincidence. There's some weird stuff going on online, folks. Some weird stuff. Why is it still on stage? Oh, because I put her on stage. Yeah, I mean, all right. That's all I got for you guys. I don't know what to say, people. Again, I want to say forgive me for the cursing. It's been bouncing around in my head that I might just be more raw from now on, but no. I'm going to say that's not okay. So again, forgive me. I'm going to try to not be this person. Again, there's multiple reasons I was like this today. Probably mostly because this was all pent up for some years now. And this is not the live stream I was talking about the Christian apologists. But if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do a different approach. I was thinking maybe like a silhouette thing. So I'm not identifying and completely giving the Muslims more ammo. They're just addressing only the behaviors themselves and not so much the individuals. But even then, I'm on the fence. I mean, I've talked about a few people here. Lloyd is now joining the club along with Anus Rogers and, Jay Dyer, Joint Dyer, and Dickwood. But yeah, I need to put that under wraps there. I think I've said enough, and they're just they're kind of exposing each other with their little war, especially the Protestants with their. You said bingo. You're with the Muslims. People are buying into that. Especially as a Greek, I especially take offense to that. But I mean, Jerusalem Orthodox, Antiochian Orthodox. You got to listen to your crap about you said bingo, therefore you're siding with the Muslims. Talk about opportunists, man. Talk about Christian bash. Again, Usia, this is the essence of Jews, these Zionists, spewing evil, behaving just like the Muslims. It's not a coincidence. God have mercy on our souls. All right, folks, I'm done. Again, keep your noose. Keep your noose. Stay anchored on Christ regardless. God bless you. Take care.